Man, if the Avs are healthy the next time they play the Oilers, that game is going to be a lot of fun. This game, however, was kind of brutal. Avs lose to the Edmonton Oilers 6-2. Now, the Avs did a whole lot of bad things in this game, and we will talk about them, but to be honest with you, I'm not super worried about them. They had a third of their lineup missing going up against the two most talented offensive forwards in the entire NHL. They were also starting a third-string goalie. Two of their top line players were missing, and a defense that was a bit of a new look. The only new player in the defense was Connaughton, but without Zadorov, a lot of the pairings had been mixed, and it showed. I don't think anyone should be super surprised by a loss to Edmonton here, but the Avs gave everyone a little bit of hope at the start, and that did make it hurt a touch. Edmonton has complete control of this puck deep in their own zone. Kadri puts on a good forecheck, and he sticks with it, knocking the puck loose multiple times and eventually taking it away. This is all well and good, but Kadri even takes this a step further. As Tyson Jost goes off the ice to change, a lot of players you'll see just work it deep and pin it, or even dump it in and change themselves. But Kadri holds onto the puck, circles back up the boards, continuing to look for a play, allowing the Avs to not only get reset up in the offensive zone, but create a little havoc. As all five Edmonton players get caught deep in the zone, this leaves a bunch of room for Andrei Burakovsky stepping on the ice to walk into. Kadri has already recognized this and feeds him in stride, which allows Burakovsky to get all the way to basically the top of the circles before letting this shot go. We know Burakovsky has a great shot. This one gets a little bit lucky. A great play from Kadri gets rewarded as it deflects off of an Edmonton player and into the net. By the end of the first period, a lot of Avs were mailing it in. Burakovsky was not one of those. He was far and away the Avs' best player on the night, and Kadri was a good supporting cast as well, obviously helping to create that goal, but throughout the night, Burakovsky and Kadri were the Avs' heart and soul, basically. So that's great. Getting the lead early is the exact start the Avs need in the injured state that they're in. They need to be able to play from ahead, and this means that they were in this game. There was a chance to go forward. That future just turned out to be really not at all anything good for the Avs. I might feel the worst for Adam Werner's parents, who flew out from Sweden all the way to the west coast, essentially, of North America to watch him play in this game, and I don't think Werner even played that badly. The Avs defense just totally hung him out to dry. From this point on, it was pretty much the Connor McDavid show, and the first goal would come just about 6 minutes into the period. I think this play really shows the effects that a star player can have on a game. McDavid's going to get this puck in the center of the ice, and you're going to see a couple of things. First of all, both EJ and Graves are extremely respectful of McDavid's speed, backing off hard. That's fine to an extent, but you see they both back straight up and completely give McDavid the middle of the ice. We see McKinnon enter the zone like this and get the defenseman to back off all the time, but generally they try to angle them to a side, forcing McDavid to the boards. Either direction, it doesn't really matter, just so he can't walk in directly on the goal and eventually has to pull up or run out of room. McDavid gets to walk right down the center. EJ kind of starts to get in range as he's hitting the blue line, but still, McDavid is in the middle of the ice, leaving him a ton of options. The other thing here you'll notice is they're essentially double teaming McDavid. Both defensemen are fully back and committed to defending McDavid, meaning the second man in, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, needs to be picked up by a forward. Initially, it looks like this is going to be TJ Tynan, but as the play develops and McDavid drops it, Tynan was kind of going sideways instead of covering back, meaning Nugent-Hopkins now has a ton of room to work with. A little bit better recognition from Nieto. Maybe he can cut over and get involved in this play, but he just kind of is too far away. Nothing to do about it. Very similar to the Burakovsky situation where Nugent-Hopkins gets to walk in all the way to the top of the circles. The difference being the Avs had 5 players back to Edmonton's 2. There's zero excuse for letting Nugent-Hopkins get away and giving him that much room. I understand a bit with the defensemen in EJ and Graves, but both did not need to back off that hard, particularly Graves, since McDavid cut to the far side. Graves is covering nothing here, and the back check, that's just bad. You cannot just let that forward get away from you. Nugent-Hopkins does make a quality shot. From the top of the circles, perfect world, your goaltender might stop this with the blocker. But it's Adam Werner. It's hard to fault him in his second ever NHL game with defense like that. I get respecting Connor McDavid as the best player in the NHL. I understand that, but at a point you can get too deep into that respect. Sometimes you're giving him too much ground in that regard, and that's going to mean he's going to destroy you. I don't know if that was really the case on that particular goal, but as the game developed, it became clear that the Avs were just giving McDavid too much room. Which, when you combine that with the Avs taking a penalty, putting this team on the power play, disaster is coming very quickly. Edmonton keeps a puck in here at the blue line, but it just gets slapped down into the zone. It ends up going off of Ian Cole's skate and is now a loose puck along the boards here. Cole doesn't really seem to think this situation through at all. As he comes around, he's going to try and dive and poke at a puck that's probably well out of his possession. You know, in a normal situation, that might be okay, but this is Connor McDavid, and he's already beaten him to the puck. He's already collecting it. And Ian Cole misses. Just entirely not even close to hitting that puck at all. So now you have Connor McDavid with the puck, Ian Cole lying on the ice, and no other Av player within 15 feet of McDavid with a perfect road right into the circle to do whatever McDavid wants. And it gets worse. So Ian Cole, clearly terrible decision there. Now you're pretty much doomed because this is in fact Connor McDavid. EJ gets stuck in front of the net here. I don't know what his plan was in sitting there. I guess, you kind of just set up in your box as a defenseman. But right now, McDavid is barreling towards him. There's no one on the far side of the ice, and the only other option is roughly at the goal line. I would have loved to see EJ at least move, maybe to break up that pass, or just charge McDavid. Sure, maybe McDavid burns you, but standing there and doing what EJ does, which is essentially kneel down. I'm not sure what he's trying to block with his body. He's essentially blocking nothing. He's not covering the pass across. It's not there, so it doesn't matter. But he puts his stick on the ice. I guess he's trying to cover the pass down low, but it's just extremely ineffective. McDavid ignores EJ entirely, walks in, and snipes on Adam Werner because, well, he's still Connor McDavid. I get it. Penalty killing is hard, particularly against a high-powered offense, but if there's one guy in the entire NHL that you might want to just mark on the PK and say, look, don't let him have the puck with space ever, it's Connor McDavid. And that play sums up the Avs' defense lately. Bad decisions lead to wide open areas for the other team, and no one on the Avs is able to react and cover up for a mistake. And you can see, even with those mistakes, the Avs beat the Jets 4-0. Granted, Werner played great in that game, but you can get away with that all the time. You just can't get away with that against a Connor McDavid. So at that point, you're like, well, this is bad. The Avs shouldn't be trailing in this game. A couple of mistakes have put them there, but they're still in it. The problem is they just kept happening, one after the other, and 30 seconds later, the Avs were down by 2. Girard goes back to collect the puck. He collects it and turns toward the boards. It works well and leaves Kassian behind him. He started this breakout by creating space to move up the ice. Right here, he has a perfect situation to either feed to Kale or feed it up out to Calvert to get up and out of this zone cleanly. Instead, he continues to go up the boards, fumbles the puck a little bit, and now has to chase it down and runs into one Connor McDavid. As the collapse comes in, Girard actually regathers and still has time to either try and flick this out to safety or even pin it against the boards, but he opts to just try and push it up the boards right into Connor McDavid. So that's just brutal. Can't have that. Girard been turning the puck over in these breakout scenarios a little bit too often, and you're going to see the Avs classic of everyone staring at the puck. McDavid is going to put it away from himself to Leon Draisaitl, who's now not being covered because everyone is staring at the puck. Look at that pass. That's the exact pass I wanted Girard to do to Makar earlier, but he didn't. Draisaitl actually fumbles this a bit. He's not able to get an effective shot off. Makar comes around, does a good job to force Draisaitl wide and go around the net. Draisaitl does do that, beats Makar around the net a little bit on the slow side there. And the same problem continues. Sam Girard staring at the puck. He has no idea Zach Kassian is over on this other side. He just sees Draisaitl going for a wraparound. Problem being, this puck doesn't really wrap around. It gets put right through the crease over to Zach Kassian, who is now wide open because Sam Girard didn't recognize it, and it's a tap-in. So I don't know if Connor McDavid is just someone who trained with the Hypnotoad and can now get defensemen to turn the brain off simply by looking at them, or if the Avs just seem to be completely lost on the defensive end. I don't get it. These are experienced NHL players. The decision-making seems incredibly panicked and just nonsensical. I don't think the Avs defense, as it stands right now, is top 10 in the league or anything, but it certainly should be better than this. Watching experienced defensemen like EJ and Cole completely fall over themselves in the defensive zone repeatedly is just kind of hard to watch. I get it a little bit more from someone like Ryan Graves, who doesn't have that NHL experience. He's gonna have up and down games. He's a bottom pairing defenseman in the NHL. That's just kind of the reality. But then you add Sam Girard on top of that as well. He's the guy who's supposed to be the most effective at moving the puck on the team on the breakout, and he's turning the puck over like it's nothing. The good thing about playing a team with a McDavid and a Draisaitl on it exposed this weakness severely. It can no longer fly under the radar. It's clear that something there has to be fixed. Just looking at how these two teams were playing when it was 3-1, not a lot of optimism. And then the Avs take another penalty, and you knew death was coming. There's a ton of mistakes on this play from the Avs, but let's look at this from a perspective of McDavid is actually insane. Draisaitl drops McDavid the puck, and he does what McKinnon likes to do. He's just going to enter the zone here. He gets his head up and immediately recognizes, oh, look, Matt Nieto is 100% flat-footed at the blue line. I'm Connor McDavid. I skate fast. You cannot stop me with a silly little poke check. So he immediately leaves two Avs players, both the forwards, in the dust. It's now a 1-on-2. He's walking in on Kevin Connauton. That's a bit unfortunate. Probably not a great matchup for the Avs if Kevin Connauton is on the ice with Connor McDavid in any way, shape, or form. And McDavid just kind of ruins him. Connauton tries to poke him with a stick. Again, Connor McDavid is too good for simple, basic poke checks to stop him. He cuts to the middle of the ice where Connauton gets burned. He wasn't able to keep up skating backwards and is basically fumbling over himself. And EJ has backed off to cover nothing again because reasons. So McDavid now has room in the high slot to load up and beat Werner clean. McDavid is just simply an incredible hockey player. Not only can he out-stick handle everyone on the ice, he can do it while skating faster than all of them as well. The Avs defense gave him an inch and he took a mile. You just gotta have fun watching it. Hockey is fun. Sure, it hurts a little bit when it's the Avs taking the beating, but you're not going to see someone do the things McDavid does for a long, long time. Pretend it's not the Avs and just some random team, and if you go back and watch these McDavid clips, you'll be going, wow. And on the other hand, Avs defense, he's Connor McDavid, not the boogeyman. You don't have to give him 80 feet. Sure, respect the speed, but at least try to play some defense eventually. The game was 4-1 at that point. The Avs would get a power play very late in the first period to try and gain some life, and the whole game gets summed up by the 30 seconds of that power play that happened in the first. The Avs have been playing terribly, so the bounces didn't go their way. Burakovsky puts a great shot on Mike Smith, who mismanages it. It drops down between his legs, sitting right on the goal line, but Smith is able to fall back and keep it out of the net. Or at least, as far as any camera angle showed, it certainly didn't go in. Even then, there was still 15 seconds left, and the Avs get another chance as Kadri gets a cross-crease pass and manages to flip it up and into the nets. But it was about a second after the buzzer for the period to end had gone. So if you weren't convinced already, you pretty much knew this was not going to be much of a hockey game after that. The Avs continued to struggle to manage the puck in the second period, but hey, they did manage to kill at least one penalty. The problem is then they just took another one and yeah, you're going to get scored on because your defense is weak and Connor McDavid is strong. Look at how Edmonton moves this puck with a purpose on the power play. All of these passes are intended, intentional, and for a reason. Draisaitl coming up into the middle, gets hit with the initial pass, is able to immediately one-touch it back up to Clefbaum up high, who is already looking, recognizing, and sending the puck to McDavid as well. The Avs have overloaded. Again, that McDavid guy, you might want to mark him. He's kind of good. Giving him a 30-foot lane to roll on into, not as good. McDavid doesn't even use it because he's too good. He wants his hat trick. Blasts a shot from near the top of the circle, and it goes in the net. Hat trick for McDavid, his 5th point of the night. Yeah, sure, whatever. The Avs defense is bad. Hopefully, Ray Bennett is scribbling down notes furiously about this Edmonton Oilers power play because they are 3 for 4 at that point. That power play is just fun to watch, man. Yes, McDavid is a great player, and he's the reason a lot of that offense gets created, but there are a lot of other active moving parts to that power play to create opportunities. It's the exact opposite of the Avs power play. The Avs give the puck to McKinnon and tell him, we're all going to stand here and go do stuff. Edmonton overloads the one side. They make a handful of passes. They have a bunch of moving parts. And all of a sudden, McDavid finds himself with a 30-foot lane to walk into because the Avs have been distracted. It doesn't take a hockey genius to see the difference in the two philosophies there, and clearly the Edmonton one is working better. Anyway, game was over for sure at that point, but good hockey does get rewarded. Burakovsky continues to work his butt off throughout the game and gets a lucky bounce because of it. Don't have a ton to say about this one. Avs do a good job to work hard and end up winning the face-off off a bouncing puck. They get it back to EJ, who immediately slaps a shot on. Smith makes the initial save, but mishandles it, and it springs out. And a good job by Burakovsky to be crashing the nets. Yep, most hockey players can score that one. I appreciate Burakovsky continuing to work and getting rewarded for it, even if it didn't mean much. Even when things don't mean much, though, the Avs cannot keep themselves from taking another penalty, and yes, Edmonton still very, very good on the power play. This is Connor McDavid with the puck in the corner. Avs figure, nah, let's just leave him. You're not going to pressure Connor McDavid. Just let him do whatever he wants on the power play with the puck on his stick. All right, you know what? You do you, Avs, whatever. McDavid waits for the passing lane to open up, finds it, finds Nugent Hopkins. Nugent Hopkins has a day and a half as the Avs always overload the puck side when they're on the PK. Overloading the puck side, but not challenging the puck. I don't get it, but Nugent Hopkins, he makes him pay. That would be your final score of 6-2. The third period is not even worth talking about. Oh yeah, Bibeau came in after the 4th goal, I think, as well. Also not really worth talking about. The finer points of this whole game don't matter. McDavid was incredible. Involved in all 6 Edmonton goals, a 6-point night. You just got to tip your cap to that. But I do think this might be the best thing that could have happened to the Avs right now. They've been getting away with playing a style that is pretty rough around the edges defensively, and they've played teams that haven't been able to take advantage of it. Even during their first losing streak, aside from the Florida game, it was a 2-1 win by Dallas, a 3-0 grind-em-out win by Arizona. It wasn't high-octane offense shredding them to pieces. But this Edmonton team exposed some inherent flaws in the defense from top to bottom, whether it be systemic, player-related, PK-related, breakout related, whatever you want to call it. And to figure that out in game 19 instead of game 65 is a big deal. The Avs, instead of kind of forcing it to work and getting it by and then running into the playoffs and not having a quality defensive setup, could be dangerous. Now they've seen the issues, they can start to make adjustments, and they can fix the problem. And you'd much rather fight that fight on a road trip in November than during a homestand in the playoff push. Simple as that. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching, and head over to thednvr.com and consider signing up for a membership to check out all of our premium content. It really is great stuff. It ranges all over the place, from weekly prospect updates to film breakdowns to a ton of post-game things, podcasts 5 days a week as well. You just can't go wrong. I am Rudo, and who set the difficulty to story first for Connor McDavid? Because this is just way too easy for him. Terrible shot with no lighting because I forgot the Avs also hit 2 posts in this game. Because why not?
Avalanche time, come on, grab your friends. We're going to the playoffs again with Nate the dog and Gabe the babe. The fun isn't over yet. It is Avalanche time.